We're at Sacred Heart Church in Cutoff here with Father Greg Fratt. Welcome, Father.
Thank you, Rock.
Thanks
Good to have you
for
down
spending
here.
some time with us.
I think you like the bayou as much as I do.
I do. I really do. We really do. Father, could you tell us a little bit about where you grew up and how you got to the Diocese of Houma-Thibodaux?
Sure. I grew up in Arizona. I was involved with horses. It was a passion of mine. Trained and showed horses most of my life. Moved to Oregon because of the horses, and was very involved. Ended up coming to Louisiana actually because of the horses. And yet the farm that I came to work for was on the North Shore. And when I first flew down here, I saw the sign St. Benedict. And so I said, what is that? They said, well, it's a monastery and a seminary. Well, this is how God works. So when I was in Oregon, I would go to Mount Angel Abbey, a Swiss-American congregation, Benedictine Abbey, when I could. And I'd had this feeling for a long time that I was really since high school. But I put it aside because I was having such a great time doing what I was doing. So I ended up moving to Louisiana because of the horses, but because the farm was in close proximity to the Abbey. And so I started going there for Vespers, got to know the community, and it really didn't take very long. I entered the monastery in January of that year, 1990. So I was in the monastery for 4 years, 4 wonderful years. Loved all the monks, the community. Abbot Justin became a very good friend. And when I decided maybe monastic life wasn't my calling, I still thought priesthood was. And so Abbot Justin introduced me to the Diocese of Houma-Thibodaux. Actually, I came down one weekend with him when he was supplying help here at Sacred Heart. So Sacred Heart in Cutoff was the first place I visited down here. And so when I was discerning all that, Justin said, well, why don't you talk to Father Danny Poche, who was vocation director, and Bishop Gerald? So I thought, well, maybe God brought me to Louisiana for that reason. So I did, and this is how it worked out. So I was ordained for this diocese.
Wow.
And so I was kind of in Arizona, I was kind of a desert rat, and now I'm a swamp rat.
Wow.
And I've kind of traded horses a little bit for fishing, because I still have a passion for horses and love to ride when I can, but fishing has kind of supplemented that. And that's kind of what I like to do on my day off.
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
Yeah, when I'm not, most days off, I'm trying to catch up. It seems like I'm always trying to catch up, get things done. But in my downtime, I really enjoy fishing. I love being out on the water.
I hear, I think you've told me once your mother is a famous
Yes. I grew up in Scottsdale, Arizona, and my mother and father originally were from Washington, D.C., and my mother was part of the famous Washington School of Colorists that developed in the 50s. So we moved to Arizona when I was about 3 years old, and my mom died recently, this past year in July. We just had a wonderful memorial for her in Scottsdale, and I'm trying to, that's one thing I'm working on, trying to preserve her legacy, and I'm working on a book, too, of her paintings. And incidentally, she is going to have a major exhibit in Germany at a very prestigious museum beginning in February, and it'll be the major exhibit for almost a year. It'll run till January of 2019. So I'm hoping to go to Germany for that. The museum wants me to give a talk. So as a kid, I was, with my mom being an artist, we got dragged through every museum you could think of. And we didn't so much like it at the time, but I appreciate now the great education I had in art. And my family, we were always going to the symphony, so I've always loved music. Good music is a passion of mine. But yeah, so I inherited a little of her artistic ability, but having a famous mother who's an artist, you always feel the pressure of that and living up to those expectations. So I kind of dropped that a little bit.
Father, last question. What is one of your favorite things about being a priest?
I love being involved in the lives of people. You get to meet people at very important times in life. You enter into the lives of people in transitional times as well. When somebody decides to get married, when they have a child and they want to get that child baptized, when they experience the death of a loved one. It's a very privileged thing to me. And I always feel very privileged to be involved in the lives of so many people at these important times.
We're very privileged to have you here.
Thank you.
Glad that you left Arizona to come to us.
Thank you.
Thanks for spending some time with us.
Okay, Rock. Thanks for coming down.
You're welcome.
All
You're
right.
welcome.